Welcome back to Weather Nation. We're continuing to follow the flooding that's taking place across parts of South Carolina. This is video from Thursday where you see communities are still dealing with high water and flooded roads and you name it, just a lot of flooding everywhere. And we're still looking at rivers that are pretty high, but some of them, actually a lot of them, are starting to come down in their water levels, and that is a great thing. But we're still dealing with some flooding concerns. And our very own John Van Pelt, he's been on the ground for the past few weeks following what's been happening across parts of the Carolinas in the wake of Florence. And so I want to bring in JVP, and if you can, JVP, give us an update on what the situation is when it comes to the Waccamaw River and also where you're located in South Carolina.
Yeah, hey Marcus, you're talking about all those houses. Horry County reported more than 2,000 houses with major flooding in them. And here in Georgetown, you see the sandbags going all the way down Front Street. In most cases, all the stores have put sandbags, and it's kind of a ghost town. You see a couple of cars going by, but most of that are locals just checking out the situation here on the waterfront on Front Street in Georgetown. Up in Conway and Socastee and other places that have been underwater for many, many days since Florence left. Today, 2 weeks has been since Florence made landfall. The water is slowly receding, but in places like Conway, it crested yesterday. They're expecting it to take many days before it's down to the previous record of 17.9 feet. It was up to 21 feet, which was 10 feet over flood stage, Marcus. They're expecting it to be probably Tuesday before it's below the Matthews stage, and many more days before it goes to below major flooding up there. Down here in Georgetown, the long wait continues. We're thinking tonight into tomorrow is going to be the worst of their flooding. And on Wednesday, Sel Hemingway, the county administrator, had a little bit of less bad news for the residents of Georgetown County.
And the levels that we're seeing now indicates that the water is spreading, and we're not seeing quite the vertical rise. So while that's not a sophisticated scientific prognostication, at least the delay in when we see our maximum river heights here is an indication to me that we may not see quite the vertical rise as what was originally projected. And the levels.
So the good thing is that the water is spreading out because it's slowed down. They were saying some places that might have expected 5 to 10 feet of flooding, Marcus, may now only get 2 to 4, but still, like he said, that's not totally absolutely scientific. They're just hoping that's going to be the way it is based on the slowdown of the water, and the state did issue new maps yesterday to show where the flooding would be lower, but still people need to be ready. We see the aqua dams that the National Guard put up on Highway 17 just north of Georgetown to try to keep the water off of Highway 17, to if not keep it open through the event, to keep it up longer so people can get out. And basically what Sel Hemingway says is there's no time or date for evacuation. They're just telling people, keep an eye on your property. If you see the water start to come up, get out of there before the roads get cut off, because once the roads get cut off, fire trucks are not going to run, nor will police cars or ambulances or any emergency traffic. It will be boats after that happens. So they want everybody to be ready to go right now when the water comes up.
Yeah, I think that's great advice that you can give to the people there in the area. And swamps can actually help absorb sometimes some of those flood waters that may be associated with, again, just high river levels or anything else when it comes to heavy rain. So maybe they will actually benefit from having swamps in the area. But we will make sure to keep checking in with you. Thank you again for that information. But we are following the flooding threat as it continues across parts of the Carolinas. Our very own John Van Pelt in the field. Now we'll take a look at the Waccamaw River. That hydrograph shows that the water levels, like John mentioned, they are slowly going down. But by the time we get to next Tuesday, we're still talking about a river in major flooding. So we're still dealing with that flooding threat, but the water levels are subsiding. And when we talk about what this region has been dealing with over the past day or so, we had some stronger storms that moved through parts of the Carolinas. We're still dealing with some isolated rain here or there across parts of the Carolinas. But for the most part, we have a cold front that'll slowly move through the region. It'll take its sweet time exiting, and that may bring more rain, actually heavier rain potentially, to coastal parts of the region. But at this point, the rain doesn't look that impressive. So this is another sign of good news. It looks like we'll be staying mainly dry for a lot of us, including some of those flooding areas, as we head throughout the day today and into Saturday. But definitely stay tuned. We will continue to give you more updates on what's happening across the Carolinas. In the meantime, up next, we are talking about some cold on the way. Some of you are already cold this morning. Well, we're sticking around with those temperatures tomorrow morning.